The mediums that I was focusing on using for my project were comics and painting. So that is how I fulfilled the explore and experimentation part of my project. It was by trying out a medium in which I thought I wasn't necessarily that skilled in, but turns out that when I was painting, I found out that illustration goes hand in hand with painting. So my illustration skills being good meant that my paintings became good. The point and purpose of my project was to learn anatomy, was to improve my technical art skills of painting so that I could be better at, depicting what I wanted to depict, which was Christianity and my experience of the faith. And the most disappointing part about this project was that I went in so many different iterations and directions of trying to learn anatomy, essentially through looking at 3D models, looking at life drawing, looking at video footage, static and non-static poses, looking at library books and online resources of how the body worked, of the form of it, and shadows, and all that stuff. But at the end of it all, I noticed that the way I've been trying to study anatomy throughout this whole project was kind of pointless, because I was focusing on all the exterior of the body rather than necessarily the form and structure of it, which is the fundamentals. I mean, some resources were helpful, like this book, but in the end, that kind of overtook my main goal, which was to depict Christian art. And in the end, I didn't do that. Even though I had initial ideas and sketches, they didn't get completed because I got too caught up in trying to make the artwork perfect before I put it in the canvas. I got also caught up in decision paralysis somewhat of trying to choose the best pose that was the most dynamic and most emotional and energetic to depict the things that this image meant to me in my head. That in the end, I didn't really pick any pose, and there was too much to just pick from. And I also got distracted by looking at sound, how I could use sound and music in my work, which was cool. I think having multisensory stuff in my work is cool, but then I noticed that if I want all these different elements in my work, I think it's better if I get one thing done and then move on to another thing, instead of trying to do all these things at once. Also, I was disappointed that I couldn't exhibit my work at the end of my project because all the spaces were taken up, but in the end, I suppose it's alright because I didn't have anything to exhibit in the end anyway.